Hare Krishna, Sadi Prabhu, are you there?
I am here. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Prabhuji. Thank Dandavat Pranam, Mahapurush Prabhupada.
Jai, Srila Prabhupada.
Okay, I will be playing the Jara Mada, then we'll start.
Very good, sir.
Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopidana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yashodanandana Brajajana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Banachari Yamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Punya Bihari Jaya Paramang Samparibrajacharya Sukari Small Ram Saraswati Swami Jaya Ananda Kori Vaishnava Jaya Ramacharya Sri Haridas Thakur Jaya Names of the whole sea Sri Radha Krishna Bhogavna Sam Kunda Radha Kunda Giri Jaya Vrindavan Dham Ki Jaya Navadip Dham Ki Jaya Ganga Mai Ki Jaya Jamuna Mai Ki Jaya Guru Dwarka Dham Ki Jaya Swami the Bhaktivinoda Ki Jaya All glories to God. All glories to God. Thank you very much.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu ke please accept my humble obeisance. All glories to Jagat Krishna Prabhupada, all glories to Gurudev, all glories to Samal Vaishnava devotees. Thank you for being here, Nirantara Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
So, dear devotees, today we are very much blessed. We have His Grace, Nirantara Prabhu. Of course, he's been here before, and we all really enjoyed his association and his love. And today again, we have his blessings being with us today. So, Prabhuji, you may take it over from here. I believe you probably would love to chant Jai Radha Madhava in that their special tune, even though Srila Prabhupada has chanted, but if you want to chant, you may do that. And then we'll put the verse on the screen, you take it over.
Since you played Prabhupada, that's sufficient.
That's
Because
sufficient. Okay.
nobody can compare. It's a joke.
Of
But
course, nobody.
I will chant a couple of mantras and begin as soon as you give me your blessing.
Oh no, Prabhuji, I am seeking your blessings.
Well, then I'll bless you if you bless me.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Prabhuji. Thank you so much. So, Prabhuji, you may go ahead and chant your mantras and then we'll put the verse on the screen.
Thank you very much, sir.
Hare Krishna.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Om Jnana Timirandasya Jnana Anjana Shalakaya Chakshur Unmilitang Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Trinadapi Sunichena Toradiva Sahishnuna Amanina Manadena Kirtaniya Sadahari Hare Nama Hare Nama Hare Nama Eva Kevalam Kalo Nastyeva 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 Gatiranyata Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adigor Bhakta Brinda Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Jai Advaita Gadadhara Srivas Adi Go Bhakta Brinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 10, Verse 24. Hastau ruhatas tasya nana karma chakirshaya tayos tu balavan indra adanam ubayashrayam. Hastau, the hands, ruhata, manifest, tasya, his, nana, various, karma, work, chakirshaya, being so desirous, tayo, of them, tu, however, balavan, to give strength, Indra, the demigod in heaven, adanam, activities of the hand, ubaya ashrayam, dependent on both the demigod and the hand. Thereafter, when the Supreme Person desired to perform varieties of work, the two hands and their controlling strength and Indra, the demigod in heaven, became manifest, as also the acts dependent on both the hands and the demigod. Purport: by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, our founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada. In every item, we can note with profit that the sense organs of the living entity are never independent at any stage. The Lord is known as the Lord of the senses, Rishikesha. Thus, the sense organs of the living entities are manifest by the will of the Lord, and each organ is controlled by a certain type of demigod. No one, therefore, can claim any proprietorship of the senses. The living entity is controlled by the senses. The senses are controlled by the demigods, and the demigods are the servants of the Supreme Lord. That is the arrangement in the system of creation. The whole thing is controlled ultimately by the Supreme Lord, and there is no independence either of the material nature or of the living entity. The illusioned living entity, who claims to be the Lord of his or her senses, is under the clutches of the external energy of the Lord. As long as the living entity continues to be puffed up by one's tiny existence, one is to be understood to be under the stringent control of the external energy of the Lord. And there is no question of liberation from the clutches of illusion, Maya, however much one may declare oneself a liberated soul. So, for my preparation for this class, I first of all want to offer my respectful obeisances to all the Vaishnava devotees of ISKCON, and especially those who are attending this class. Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripasindubhya evacha patitanang pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. So, my first focus of explanation will be on this word, Rishikesha, which was mentioned in today's purport by our spiritual master. So, this word, Rishikesha, has some significance. Let's look at the Narada Pancharattara. And this verse is also found by Krishnadas Kaviraj, includes it in his Chaitanya Charitamrita, as it was also spoken by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And it's one of my favorite verses, very easy to preach on this verse. Every word is chock full of meaning. Saropadi vinir muktang tat parat vena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanang bhaktir uchyate. So let's go over these words. So the first line, sarva upadi vinir muktam, free from all kinds of material designations or free from all material desires, except the desire to render service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So yes, we give up all material desires and designations. The only desire that we maintain is actually considered desirelessness, and that is the desire to want to serve Krishna. Next word, tat parat vena, by the sole purpose of serving the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So that's the same thing that Krishna emphasizes in Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, verse 66, where he says, Mam ekam sharanam vraja. You take exclusive shelter of me. So that is the same purport. Then the next word, nirmalam, uncontaminated by the effects of speculative philosophical research or fruitive activity. This, of course, reminds us of the verse that Lord Chaitanya instructed Rupa Goswami when he gave the definition of pure devotional service. Anya bilashita shunyam jnana karmadi anavritam anukulyena krishnanu silanam bhaktir uttama. So the service has to be favorable to Krishna's senses, and there cannot be any tinge of material desire. Now we get to twice this word is used, rishika. So first we have rishikena, by purified senses, freed from all designations. So when we become devotees, when we take initiation, when we start with a clean slate, now our material senses are purified, and now with these senses that we have, we are meant to serve Guru and Krishna. This is the purpose of the senses. Just as here is this very small pair of karatals. So these karatals are meant to serve me. I'm using them. So we mentioned this in the last class as well, that we are all meant to play a role. We are all meant to be instruments. Nimittamatra bhava savyasachin. We are meant to be Krishna's instruments. So our senses must be pure. So that purification process begins even before initiation, purascharya activities. But especially from the point of initiation, now you are completely clean. Now with your senses, Rishika Isha, there it is. That becomes Rishikesha. Rishika Isha, the Lord, the master of the senses. So Narada Muni is saying that what is bhakti, what is devotional service? It's when you use your senses and you use them to serve the master of the senses, Krishna, who is mentioned in Gita and elsewhere as Rishika Isha or Rishikesha. And of course the word sevanam, the service to satisfy the senses. Bhakti uchite, that is what is known as devotional service. So here is how Prabhupada translates this verse. Bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of all the senses. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there are two side effects. One is freed from all material designations, and one's senses are purified simply by being employed in the service of the Lord. Now, for the next reference explaining this word, Rishikesha, we go to the 5th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. It's the section where we are being instructed that there are different varshas, there are different regions in this, how shall we say, Bhumandala planetary system, the earthly planetary system. So there are different varshas, and in each varsha, a particular incarnation of Krishna is worshipped. But this one is very, very nice. Om Hrang Hring Hrung Om Namo Bhagavate Rishikeshaya Sarvaguna Visheshaya Vilakshitatmane Akutinang Chitinang Chetasang Visheshanang Chadipatayi Shodashakalaya Chando Mayayana Mayamrita Mayaya Sarva Mayaya Sahase Ojase Balaya Kandaya Kamaya Namaste Ubayatra Bhuyat. So this shloka, this mantra, is chanted by Lakshmi Devi. Ooh. She says, "Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Lord Rishikesha, the controller of my senses and the origin of everything. As the Supreme Master of all bodily, mental, and intellectual activities, Rishikesha is the only enjoyer of their results. The 5 sense objects and the 11 senses, including the mind, are his partial manifestations. Rishikesha supplies all the necessities of life, which are his energy, and thus non-different from him. And Rishikesha is the cause of everyone's bodily and mental prowess, which is also non-different from him. Indeed, Rishikesha is the husband and provider of necessities for all living entities. The purpose of all the Vedas is to worship Rishikesha. Therefore, let us offer our respectful obeisances unto Rishikesha, and may he always be favorable toward us in this life and the next." Now we hear Prabhupada's purport to this verse. This verse, offering respectful obeisances unto the Lord, was composed by Rama, the goddess of fortune, and is full of spiritual power. So just see, by attending this class today, we just got a special blessing. How fortunate we are to have come into contact with ISKCON, come into contact with Prabhupada, and come into contact with Srimad Bhagavatam. Our lives are now blissful. Prabhupada continues, "Under the guidance of a spiritual master, everyone should chant this mantra and thus become a complete and perfect devotee of the Lord. One may chant this mantra for complete liberation from material bondage, and after liberation, one may continue to chant it while worshiping the Supreme Lord in Vaikuntha Loka." Next reference where we are going to highlight this word, Rishikesha, is found in the Srimad Bhagavatam, 6th canto, chapter 5. This is in relation to the narration of Narada Muni and how he became cursed by Daksha because Narada Muni delivered his sons, both the Haryashvas and Shavalashvas, whom Daksha wanted his sons to practice austerities and then assist him in producing progeny. But when Narada found that these 2 sons, groups of sons, one was 10,000, one was 1,000, Narada went there, preached to them, and they all took sannyas and went back to Godhead. So Daksha was very angry at Indra. But in the course of that narration, we find this very nice verse. Swara Brahmani Nirbhata Rishikesha Padambuje Akandang Chittam Aveshya Lokan Anucharan Munihi. The 7 musical notes, Sha, Ri, Ga, M, Pa, Pa, N, are used in musical instruments, but originally they come from the Samaveda. That reminds me, when Prabhupada was preaching to George Harrison, John Lennon, and Yoko Ono back in 1969, in his preaching he mentioned the hymns of the Samaveda because Prabhupada was aware of the musical prowess of the Beatles. So he was impressing upon them that yes, there is the hymns of the Samaveda. Prabhupada was mentioning how by music one can get delivered. Prabhupada continues, the great sage Narada vibrates sounds describing the pastimes of the Supreme Lord. By such transcendental vibrations, such as Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By such transcendental vibrations, Narada fixes his mind at the lotus feet of the Lord. Thus, Narada directly perceives Rishikesha, the master of the senses. After delivering the 10,000 sons of Daksha, known as the Haryashvas, Narada Muni continued traveling throughout the planetary systems, his mind always fixed at the lotus feet of the Lord. And whenever I am speaking about Narada Muni, who is actually, you could say, my hero, the person that I would like to emulate. I just love everything about Narada Muni, like everything. So whenever I am reminded of Narada, I like to chant, Narada Muni Bajaya Vina Radhika Ramana Name, Radhika Ramana Name, Radhika Ramana Name. So whenever I chant that line, I always tell the audience that Narada has been given a special instrument. I have my house, I have maybe 13 guitars. I have lots of musical equipment. But the sounds, they make cling, clang, cling. But Narada's Veena doesn't make any kind of sound like that. Narada's Veena, when he plays that, it sings Radhika Ramana, Radhika Ramana, Radhika Ramana. So, as long as Narada is playing his instrument, he's in Krishna consciousness. He's hearing the holy name. Prabhupada told Achyutananda Swami, when the first ISKCON songbook came out, it was a big deal. We finally had an ISKCON songbook. So in the introduction, it's written that Prabhupada said, Kirtan is the safest position in the material world. I love that line. Kirtan is the safest position in the material world. So now we've ended our little notes on Rishikesha. Now I want to address another topic which was mentioned by Prabhupada in the purport. This we go to Chaitanya Charitamrita, where Sanatana Goswami is questioning Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. He says, My Lord, who am I? Why do the threefold miseries always give me trouble? If I do not know this, how can I be benefited? Actually, I do not know how to inquire about the goal of life and the process for obtaining it. So, being merciful upon me, please explain all these truths. And Lord Chaitanya gives the reply, and his reply is something all devotees learn very, very quickly when you join ISKCON, because it's one of the fundamental building blocks of our philosophy. Everybody learns this line. Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nityadas, Krishnera Tatashta Shakti, Beda Beda Prakash. Just the first line. That's the line we all should have memorized. This first line. Jivera Swarupa Hoy, Krishnera Nityadas. Suryang Shakirana Yaiche, Agni Jwala Choi, Swabhavika Krishnera Tina Prakara Shakti Hoy. It is the living entity's constitutional position to be an eternal servant of Krishna, because the living entity is the marginal energy of Krishna, namely, a manifestation of Krishna, simultaneously one with and different from Krishna, just like a molecular particle of sunshine or fire. Now this translation that I just read, I have used this in preaching hundreds and hundreds of times. I love this concept of the sun and the sun ray. I just love that. To me, it makes understanding this concept of achintya beda beda, simultaneously one and different. It makes it so clear, at least for me, to understand. The sun ray is nothing different from the sun planet itself. But the power, the potency, the sun planet is unlimitedly powerful, and the little sun ray is mucho poquito pequeño, very, very tiny. So that's us. Yes, we're God in quality. But if we're God, we're tiny, 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 insignificant gods. And what am I so puffed up about? I'm like a molecular particle of sun. I love this. Prabhupada now continues. We're hearing Lord Chaitanya. So Lord Chaitanya is answering Sanatan. Lord Krishna naturally has three energetic transformations, and these are known as the spiritual potency, the living entity potency, and the illusory potency. Then another big verse then appears, quoted many times by Prabhupada in his purports. Krishna Buli Se Jiva Anadi Bahir Mukha Ata Eva Maya Tare Deya Sangsara Dukkha. Forgetting Krishna, the living entity has been attracted by the external feature from time immemorial. Therefore, the illusory energy, Maya, gives one all kinds of misery in one's material existence. So the key thing is, if we're suffering, it's because we are forgetting Krishna. Lord Chaitanya continues. In the material condition, the living entity is sometimes raised to higher planetary systems and material prosperity, and sometimes drowned in a hellish situation. One state is exactly like that of a criminal, whom a king punishes by submerging in water and then raising him again out of the water. If the conditioned soul becomes Krishna conscious by the mercy of saintly persons who voluntarily preach scriptural injunctions, which help one to become Krishna conscious, The conditioned soul is liberated from the clutches of Maya, who gives one up. Oh, that gives us such hope. Oh, the day will come when Maya will release us. Oh, when will that day be mine? But I have to become Krishna conscious. That's it. And take shelter of the devotees. Lord Chaitanya continues. The conditioned soul cannot revive his or her Krishna consciousness simply by one's own effort. But out of causeless mercy, Lord Krishna compiled the Vedic literature and its supplements, the Puranas. So this is why Bhakti Siddhanta impressed upon Prabhupada, if you ever get money, print books. And those of us who were around when Prabhupada was actively preaching, we knew very, very well, Prabhupada said it, that his spiritual master told him, and so he simply, blindly, he used that word. Prabhupada said, I am simply blindly following my spiritual master, that if I get money, I print books. And Prabhupada then said, go out, distribute books, distribute books, distribute books. Lord Chaitanya continues. The forgetful conditioned soul is educated by Krishna through the Vedic literatures, the realized spiritual master, and the super soul. So this I find interesting. 3 things are meant to educate us. The books, our guru, but notice super soul. So that also is there. Krishna is in our heart. I like this very much. Through these, one can understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead as He is. And one can also understand that Lord Krishna is one's master and deliverer from the clutches of Maya. In this way, one can acquire real knowledge of one's conditioned life and can come to understand how to attain liberation. So yes, one of Krishna's names, Mukunda, the one who gives liberation. So, Krishna also mentions in the Gita that by surrendering unto Him, one crosses over the insurmountable ocean of Maya. Lord Chaitanya continues. The Vedic literatures give information about the living entity's eternal relationship with Krishna, which is called Sambandha. And that is another concept that I very much love. That eternally we have a relationship with Krishna. It's always been there. There was no starting point. It's always there. It's there now, and it will continue to be. The only problem is, I have forgotten. That is the problem. It's called spiritual amnesia. When someone has amnesia, they don't know who they are. They cannot recognize their family members, their friends, even their wife, because they're in a state of amnesia. So we are walking about this material creation. We have amnesia. We have forgotten Krishna. But here it is. By coming in contact with the Vedic literatures, we begin to realize Sambandha, that we have this eternal relationship with Krishna. The living entity's understanding of this relationship and acting accordingly is called abhideha. So, once you get initiated and you're engaged in devotional life, that is the stage of abhideya. Once you agree that yes, I am Krishna's eternal servant, I now want to live my life as such, that is the stage of abhideya. Actively engaged in serving Krishna. Returning home back to Godhead is the ultimate goal of life and is called prayojana. Yes. This was another big fundamental teaching, building block of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's philosophy. That there is a fifth goal, Panchama Purusha Artha. In the Hindu philosophy, there are the four things, dharma, artha, kama, moksha. And most people think, oh, moksha, liberation, that's it. Right? We hear so many people say to us, are you saved? And my reply is, oh, I am more than saved. I have love of God. So, Lord Chaitanya preached that beyond liberation, there is this stage of love of God, prayojana. Lord Chaitanya continues, devotional service or sense activity for the satisfaction of the Lord is called abhideya because it can develop one's original love of Godhead. Notice, original, meaning it's inherent, meaning it's already there, it's dormant. It's not something new. One's original love of Godhead, which is the goal of life. This goal is the living entity's topmost interest and greatest wealth. Thus one attains the platform of transcendental loving service unto the Lord. When one attains the transcendental bliss of an intimate relationship with Krishna, one renders service to him and tastes the mellows of Krishna consciousness. Lord Chaitanya's instructions and the way Prabhupada translates makes it so nice. Tasting the mellows. What a attractive phrase, tasting the mellows. So now we will read Prabhupada's purport to this section. A conditioned soul is one who has forgotten Krishna as one's eternal master. Thinking that one is enjoying the material world, the conditioned soul suffers the threefold miseries of material existence. Saintly persons, sadhus, Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, preach Krishna consciousness on the basis of the Vedic literature. It is only by the mercy of the devotees that the conditioned soul is awakened to Krishna consciousness. Awakened. This is a big thing here in America, this woke philosophy. I gave a class earlier this year about the original woke philosophy, which is our Vedic literatures, is all about waking up. When awakened, one is no longer eager to enjoy the materialistic way of life. Instead, one devotes him or herself to the loving transcendental service of the Lord. When one engages in the Lord's devotional service, one becomes detached from material enjoyment. And as usual, Prabhupada will quote something from this Srimad Bhagavatam, 11th canto. Very common quote by Prabhupada. Bhakti pareshanu bhavo viraktir anyatra chaisha trika eka kala. This is the test by which one can tell whether one is advancing in devotional service, one must be detached from material enjoyment. Such detachment means that Maya has actually given the conditioned soul liberation from illusory enjoyment. When one is advanced in Krishna consciousness, one does not consider the self as good as Krishna. Whenever one thinks that he or she is the enjoyer of material advantages, one is automatically imprisoned in the bodily conception. However, when one is freed from the bodily conception, he can engage in devotional service, which is one's actual position of freedom from the clutches of Maya. Om Tat Sat. So, before we go to questions and answers, I will sing a prayer of protection for all of you. I like to end my programs by chanting this. I call it the spiritual insurance policy. Namaste Narasimhaya. Praklada Klada Dayani Hiranya Kashipur Vakshaha Shilatanka Nakalaye Ito Nrsinga Parato Nrsinho Yato Yato Yamitato Nrsinha Bahir Nrsinga Hridaye Nrsinho Nrsingham Ading Sharanang Prapadye Tavakara Kamala Varei Nakam Adhuta Sringam Dalita Hiranyakashipu Kanu Bringam Keshavat Vrita Narahadi Rupa Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jai Jagadisha Hare Jaya Jagadish Jaya Jagadish Jaya Jagadisha Hare. Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Haribol.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji, Nirantara Prabhu, for such wonderful and melodious class. Krishna Katha. It was very, very beautiful. And we can't thank you enough, but all we can say is thank you, because that does not actually expresses enough our heart's desires. Dear devotees, if anyone may have questions, comments, realizations, please you may indicate by using the hand emoji or your physical hand, and you'll be asked to unmute to speak or ask your questions or share your realizations. Prabhuji, it's very interesting. You mentioned Diksha, initiation, about 4 times in your delivery of the text. But here is the case we hear from lots of seasoned devotees who say that our system, our Vaishnav system, is a path that dwells more on siksha, not as much as diksha. And the question is, if our line is more dependent on siksha and not diksha, which sometimes makes some people not wanting to take initiation. If it is mostly dependent on siksha, then what is the need of diksha?
You always ask very what we call pithy questions, high level questions. You definitely keep me on my toes. But I think I can handle this. So, first of all, Diksha is called the formal initiation. The real initiation takes place when one accepts a particular individual as their spiritual master. Okay? When that becomes heart and soul. Okay? Not a fly-by-night, no, we're talking about heart and soul. I had that in February of 1973. It actually started in July 72. So from that, at one point there, I accepted, yes, Prabhupada, you are my spiritual master. I accept you, heart and soul. Then, so that's the first thing. And that's why the actual, the ceremony is called, it's a formality, but it's necessary. Now, yes, there is that train of thought or angle of vision that we are a Siksha line. True. But Prabhupada writes, the Siksha Guru generally becomes the Diksha Guru. That's mentioned in Chaitanya Charitamrita, most likely chapter 1 of the Adi Leela. I could be wrong. I'm a conditioned soul. But that's what I remember. That the Shiksha Guru later on becomes the Diksha Guru. Now to answer it even better, we know nothing about Gaudiya, Vaishnava, this and that. We only know what Prabhupada is giving us. Prabhupada took initiation. Oh, you're better than Prabhupada? You don't think Prabhupada knew that? That we're a Siksha? Well, Prabhupada took it. Bhakti Siddhanta took initiation. Really? And now all of a sudden, I don't need to take Diksha. So we see, and Prabhupada instituted the system. So one thing doesn't contradict the other. We only go by what, especially since Prabhupada's disappearance. It has been my preaching, and it is supported, that ISKCON makes its decisions after Prabhupada left based on what Prabhupada wrote, what Prabhupada said, what we have recordings of, and how Prabhupada himself acted. So although it may from one angle of vision seem like a formality, it should be done. And then you'll find a very strong warning in that first chapter of the Adi Leela, where Prabhupada mentions if one thinks that they can make spiritual advancement without taking initiation, that's an hallucination. So that is how I would answer you.
Well, thank you so much, Prabhuji, for the answer. And in fact, you also mentioned something very, very important and so dear to my heart in the answering of my question when you said that even higher and better than all what you have said is that we follow what Srila Prabhupada taught us.
Yep.
And that has been like my whole attention is that oftentimes we claim or we say that we follow the Vedas or we follow the Vedic civilization. But technically speaking, we are following Srila Prabhupada's teachings because there are many things that are Vedic, but they are not supported by Srila Prabhupada. And therefore, if we can limit ourselves to what Srila Prabhupada has given us, like you said, from what he has spoken, what he has written, and how he did things, I think we will be okay. But the nature of this, our monkey mind, is that...
I love that. Monkey, I got to remember that. I love that.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Is that we love to jump from here and there, and oftentimes we may say our acharyas said this, our acharyas said that, our acharyas said this, which is okay, but I do not think those should supersede what Srila Prabhupada has given us. So thank you so much for sharing.
Your understanding is spot on.
Well, thank you, Prabhuji, for blessing me.
I love your studio. My God, that is a fantastic studio. Very professional.
I wish it were real, but I appreciate you.
Oh, it's just the background?
That's the background, yes. I couldn't lie before you, so...
Maya. It's called Maya.
Yes, Maya. You after it, but you never find it.
Hold on. So one more thing to add to what you just said. One more thing.
Yeah.
And that is, in terms of following Prabhupada, it's like this. For my health conditions, I have to see different doctors. Now, I'm not a doctor. So if I'm going to go to a doctor, then I've got to follow what the doctor says. So Prabhupada and your direct guru are your spiritual doctors. You're not a doctor. So just follow what the doctor says. You're going to be fine. Okay? Prabhupada used the same thing when he was answering Yoko Ono. Again, when Prabhupada, George Harrison, John Lennon Yoke were with Prabhupada, Yoko, trying to be, smart, thought she was all that, said, well, there are so many all names of God are the same, blah, 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 blah. Trying to downplay that chanting of Hare Krishna. Is that, Prabhupada said, no. In a pharmacy, there are so many medicines. The doctor knows which medicine for which disease. You take the wrong medicine thinking that you're going to solve your disease, it could kill you. So, yes, we have to get the mantra from the spiritual master and follow the doctor's advice.
Wow. Srila Prabhupada is just so special, so sweet. He has answers to every question, and if one is just really sincere, you get the answer and you have nothing more to say, nothing more to worry about. I mean, this analogy of medicines in the pharmacy and just wanting to go and buy anything, it could actually kill you. That's a fact. That's so beautiful. Thank you for sharing that, Prabhuji. Anyone else with something to ask or share before Prabhuji leaves? And Well, before somebody says something, Prabhuji has a very special website where we can have access to lots of his transcendental sounds, music, and readings. Prabhuji has done lots of readings, like audio books that we may have access to if we go to his website. And I will put his website in the chat room very shortly.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srimavara Prabhu, please you be on mute.
Hare Krishna, Dandava Pranam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna.
Accept my respectful obeisances. Kindly excuse the sound of the background. I'm driving. And thank you very much for the very enlightening discourse. Well, I just have a little contribution to make. Titus Prabhu said that many senior devotees used to say that our line is Siksha. I also heard that from my Guru Maharaj, but the understanding is different. Those who say that our line is Siksha and who think that for that reason they don't need initiation, they got a wrong understanding of what is meant by our line is Siksha. Our line is Siksha because we take instruction from acharyas that help us to develop our Krishna consciousness. We are not limited just to guru-disciple relationship only, because there are many such examples in our line, that in our line of parampara, many of them are not direct disciples because they receive siksha from an acharya who inspire them or who has a lot to offer. So anyway, the understanding of our line is siksha is simply to let people know that we are not limited to just receiving instruction from only our guru. We take advantage of instructions from many bona fide authorities that can help us to develop Krishna consciousness or develop love for God. So that is my understanding of our line is Siksha, as I heard it from my guru. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for sharing that, Srimavara Prabhu. Yes, I don't know if Prabhuji you have something to share in his comment.
No.
Okay.
I'm nothing to. No, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Yeah, because what he said, oftentimes when the devotees say that our line is Siksha, and I like two important statements you made when you were answering the question, that when one takes instructions from the spiritual master, which is Siksha, he within his heart accepts that this is my guru, this is my spiritual master. But there are many others who take Siksha and within their hearts they've not accepted that this person I'm listening to or I'm hearing from is not my guru. I'm just listening to him. We are like a student say, like bees, just taking information anywhere and everywhere, and then we mix them up in our own state. But the difference, as we understand it now, is that when we take Siksha and within our heart, we accept that this person is my guru, then it's what Prabhupada was saying, is that then eventually the Siksha person becomes the Diksha guru of the individual. But oftentimes that is not the case. And that is why some people refuse to take Diksha because they feel that if our line is just instructions, I can go to anybody and listen to him or her, and that will be enough. So thank you for the clarification that the formality is also a necessity. It's necessary.
Yes, and again, I would say what part of my answer was, Prabhupada took Diksha, so
Yes.
I'm not better than and Prabhupada himself instituted the system. So everything else that's good, but that doesn't negate what we've been saying. That's fact. Both. That's why I didn't question or didn't comment. What he said was correct. There's no problem. But at the same time, Prabhupada himself took initiation, and Prabhupada instituted this system. So now all of a sudden, now no more system? No. Anyway, all I can give you is my understanding.
Yeah. Well, thank you. I have read, I think it's 421:31 in the report. Srila Prabhupada states that, therefore, when one takes initiation, one should be very careful not to go back to his old bad habits, because by doing so, you are also extending your sinful reactions after. But I haven't read or heard anywhere that someone just being a Siksha devoted to a particular person shares his sinful reactions with that person.
This is very interesting point. This is very interesting. Wow, I've never heard. This is good. I like this. Very good. Very good. I like it. Yes.
Yes. So, like you said, oftentimes when we say formalities, just like sometimes we say, oh, you just have to do it. But I don't think that is what the formality means. The formality means that you authenticating the situation. It's like
Yeah.
there are certain words we use ordinarily that you cannot use when you write in a formal letter. So to me, and of course, the way you also explained it, it actually reinforces my understanding of how much important it is for a devotee to take Diksha. So, well, thank you.
Hare Krishna.
Okay.
Hare Krishna, please.
Krishna,
Actually, I was driving. Now I'm back to a stable place. First, I thank Prabhuji for that statement that Prabhupada himself took initiation, Lakshmana took initiation, Krishna took initiation. So anyone saying that our system is Siksha and trying to say that you don't need initiation, I mean, it's a wrong understanding of that statement. It's a wrong understanding. What that statement is trying to teach us is that we do not become fanatic and thinking only what my guru says, only what my guru says.
Yes.
So that's why they said that Siksha, our line is a Siksha line. We take instruction from whoever that inspires us. And then there is the story in the Bhagavatam, what is the name of the Yadu Guru or something, that had 24 gurus. Example, he learned from everyone, from the fish, from the elephant, from the prostitute. So that's what it means, Siksha line. We take instruction, anything that helps us to advance Krishna consciousness. But that does not mean that you should not take initiation. I mean, it's a wrong statement, wrong understanding, and misapplication of the statement. Hare Krishna.
I cannot touch anything. All I can do is say, I accept. I accept. Wonderful. You synthesized the whole thing. Thank you, Maharaj. You synthesized.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji, for your humility and your enthusiasm in devotional service. Sometimes devotional service, to some of us who are not very much absorbed, becomes a bit dry. But it's so interesting. These few times we've had your association, you make devotional so succulent. It's so nice. It's like it's convolute. Whatever part you bite into is so sweet. So
Well,
thank you for your association, Prabhuji.
it's like this. When I first joined, I'm not going to name any names, but there was one brahmachari who would give class, and sure enough, I'd always fall asleep. And so I told myself, when I get on that seat, when I finally make it, I'm going to make sure nobody falls asleep in my class.
Yeah.
As you see my bell, right? I take this wherever I go. In fact, our GBC, Badri Narayan Swami, tells me if I go someplace and he's there, he goes, Narendra, where's your bell? Oh, Maharaj, I forgot. So I have to take the bell out. He says, wherever you go, you have to bring. All right. Anything else you need from me?
One thing for sure we need from you is that we humbly request that whenever we throw an invitation, please you may honor and
Automatically
bless us.
accepted until I die.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna. So, with that being said, devotees, I'm sure no one has something else to share. We're going to humbly request you all to kindly unmute, and we all chant the most sweetest, melodious Hare Krishna Mahamantra to express our appreciation to our revered speaker, His Grace Nirantara Prabhu Jai.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram,
Rama
Ram,
Rama, Hare
Hare Hare.
Guru Vyascha,
Yes, Chad.
Grace Nirantara Prabhu ki
Jai.
Krishna bless you,
Gopal
protect
Bhatta
you,
Prabhupada
and
ki.
maintain you.
Hare
Jai.
Jai
Hare
Jai.
Bo.
Till we meet again.
Hare Krishna.
Haribo.
Hare Krishna. Dear devotees, I shared Prabhuji's website in the chat room, so you can check it out.